Good morning, good morning. As you may have noticed, this is not a live video because my mom's internet is patchy, which is very annoying to me at this moment, but it's also annoying to me as a daughter who wants to like stand up for my mom. Like she should not be paying her monthly internet is so expensive and she should not be paying this much for this service to be this patchy. She says that this is a common occurrence, and the town that she lives in, my uncle, who is a preacher, also lives in. And due to COVID, they have a big congregation, but due to COVID, they, instead of doing like a virtual service, they've done like a drive-in style service where my uncle preaches in the parking lot, and you can listen on like a radio system or maybe an intercom system or something, and stay in your car and stay safe from everyone. Pretty clever, huh? I think it was a very smart idea. But they couldn't do a virtual service because the internet just sucks, and there's not any other choice. You have to use Suddenlink. And it's like this big monopoly. I'm just so like irritated. I mean, I'm obviously irritated selfishly because I don't get to do this live. I have to, noticing pepper in my teeth. That's attractive. Sorry, guys. It's obviously annoying for me because I can't do live this morning. I couldn't do live last week because the Wi-Fi was patchy on the train. That I could, accept, but this, I'm just annoyed because if my mom experiences this so much, if people around the town experience this so much, this is the only service they have and they charge so much. It's very annoying. When in reality, I imagine that they could charge a lot less, and I don't know, utilities in general, I feel like it should be free. I know I'm like pinko commie sometimes when it comes to this kind of stuff, but really, like, it is a service that keeps you informed and educated and all of that. So, just annoyed for my mom this morning. Suddenly, get your act together. But yes, good morning. The Wi-Fi on the train has given me. It's funny because I woke up this morning and my mom's routine and my routine are very different, and I was a little frustrated. I want to talk about that tomorrow, but what was I going to say? Oh, contrast. So every morning I listen to an Abraham Hicks meditation. It's a certain one, and she talks about contrast in that there are going to be things throughout your day that irritate you and that feel like you're off your path or feel like just little annoyances, right? So this is another annoyance of my day on top of just being out of alignment with my mom's routine. But I have come to accept my mom's routine, and we'll troubleshoot it tomorrow, and I'll talk to you about that. Maybe through a live video, maybe through one of these that I have to upload whenever I get the chance, right? But what I did want to talk about today is the my train experience. So even though I had some issues on the train coming here, I know it gave me a better understanding on what I need to do on the way back, right? So on the short distance trains, I take them all the time in LA. I love public transportation. I think we need to be more of a public transportation country. We rely too heavily on cars. It pollutes the air. It takes up space. It puts us into debt that we really don't need. And it takes us away from community, right? It creates this hyper-individualistic society, and yes, I am an individual, I'm independent, all of that, but, sometimes to the point where it goes over that, and so, I feel like a lot of people bemoan, like, my wife doesn't love me, and, I don't have real friends, and I can't connect with anyone, and all of this, but we stay in our little bubble. And so riding the train, riding these buses. It's not like I make friends on the train all the time. But, I mean, there are those relationships with metro workers, like people just in the stations, and with bus drivers. Like, I've developed close relationships with them, and I love them. There was a girl, I should have got her number. Isabel. I miss you, Isabel. She was so sweet. She used to drive me, she was a bus driver that used to drive me home from Deluxe late at night. And so, and black ladies, like black lady bus drivers, they get the most shit at night. So like we sort of understood each other because late at night it's a little more unsafe, and Deluxe never changed my shift. So I just loved her so much. She used to write down thrift stores that I should go to, but like I would be there for her whenever people would give her crap, and then she would like be there for me, so that, you know, no one like followed me home or anything. So we looked out for each other. I miss you, Isabel. Come back to me. I love you so much. She got a different route, and I never got her number, but I should have, because we were close. I think she was a Libra too. And that's what, like, I have a lot of Libra friends. I'm a Libra, and I have a lot of Libra friends and a lot of Aquarius friends. Anyway, long train of thought. Train. Ew! I need to brush my tongue. Sorry, guys. Okay, so, like I said, on the train, they, on the short distance rides, taking public transportation, they have Wi-Fi, and so I kind of assumed that they would have Wi-Fi on the long distance trains, but they don't, and it's very, like, there will be long points in the ride where you have no service at all. So even if you have some sort of hotspot on your phone, you still can't get online, right? It's just like dead, no service. So what I should have done, what I should have done before I got on the train was download movies and shows from Netflix and Amazon Prime, so that I didn't have to rely on internet to have entertainment, right? And, you know, I can entertain myself pretty easily. I'm an only child. I've had to do it all my life. I know I talk about being an only child a lot. But yes, I've had to entertain myself all my life, and it hasn't been a problem. So, you know, I had script coverage to do, so I read the script and, you know, made my notes. I had a game that I could play offline on my Kindle, so that was helpful. And then read some books, like books I downloaded on the Kindle, and what else did I do? Just looked out the window. Majestic natural beauty. Loved it, by the way. So I would highly recommend. That's a TikTok thing. TikTok lives in my brain. I would highly recommend taking the train, especially long distance trains, because in a few years they kind of want to, what do they say, phase out the long distance trains because they lose more money than they make. And unfortunately, this made me sad. Unfortunately, Amtrak was set to break even this year and not lose that money. They get a lot of subsidies from the government, so they were set to break even this year. But because of the pandemic, it didn't end up happening, and that makes me so sad. But in order to save those long distance hauls, in order to save our great train system, because a lot of people romanticize it. When I tell people, yeah, I took the train here, a lot of people were like, I always wanted to do that. And so don't want to do it, because the more you vote into those systems, right, the more I take public transportation on a daily basis, the more there's a need for that. And so the more money goes into that, the more work goes into that, right, to maintain that. And the more people do that, the more the need will be, right? So take the train as soon as you can. Take long haul trips as soon as you can. Experience it at least once. If you don't like the train, then get a one-way ticket on a plane back. But I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like if you were to take a road trip, but instead of filling your tank up with gas, instead of, excuse me, putting the wear and tear on your car, instead of, excuse me, sitting in your seat for, 2-3 days on the road, not being able to get up, go to the bathroom, walk into the observation room. I'll get to that in a second. I just really liked it a lot more than some of the road trips I've been on. Obviously, you can't make little detours and see like the world's largest ball of yarn or whatever, but you do have your own personal little tour guide built into the train system, and they will tell you like on the right is a house by Bart Prince, architect Bart Prince, and he makes unusual houses, and you wouldn't get that if you were to drive yourself, right? You wouldn't have that. I just saw 11:11 on the clock. You wouldn't have that that outsider perspective, right? So that was really nice. And they'll tell you, we're going through the New Mexico mountains now, and blah, 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 blah. And it's not to an annoying degree. Like, there's a lot of quiet time in between. But I was close to the observation deck, and the observation deck is a little different because it has this sort of like glass dome around the entire car that you can see like the sky and like the big mountains, and that was amazing. I should have utilized that more, but I had Nanook with me. I got her a service dog vest. I would actually not recommend taking dogs on the train. I love her so much. I'm glad she's with me. We're here for a month, so I didn't want to leave her with my roommates, but in the future, if I take the train again, I'll board her somehow or have her stay with a friend or something. Love her. She has been very good, but it's just a little bit of it's cumbersome juggling like all those bags and the dog, but she's so good. I love her so much, and she has provided a service. So, that was just something temporary. What else? So if you go on an Amtrak, make sure to download entertainment, or that you have entertainment without Wi-Fi, and because you will not have it. Something else that was cool, speaking of observation deck. I wasn't in the observation deck when this happened, but we woke up in Arizona. I think it was like Joseph City, Arizona, or something like that. I woke up in Arizona, and it was like driving into like a Star Wars scene because it was like we were entering sunrise, and it was in this desert, and it was beautiful, guys. I wish I could have got like a video or a photo of it, but I'm not a really good photographer, and sometimes when you're experiencing these things, pulling out your camera, pulling out video sort of takes away from your own experience of experiencing these things, right? But that was like such an experience I can't even describe, or like it's very unique, and everyone should experience it. I initially thought, I was researching online, and initially thought that the dining car was super expensive. It looked like for a burger, it would be like $15. So I brought a lot of snacks. Make sure you bring snacks, but I didn't need to bring as many snacks. Online, they priced the food way higher than what it actually was. The burgers ended up being like, I don't know, $6.75 or something. So, like, bring snacks, but the prices on the actual train might actually be a little less than what you think. We did stop in Albuquerque to they had scheduled breaks. Most of the stops were short, but they had these scheduled breaks for smoke breaks, and you could go longer. So that's when I would walk Nanook, my dog. And then they had a longer break in Albuquerque to do maintenance to, sterilize the train and get all the COVID germs out. And whenever they stopped in Albuquerque, there was a grocery store, like deli type of place close to the train station. And so that's when I got like more hot meals, a burrito, some chicken for my dinner that night, and that was cheaper than they had in the dining car, so I could get, more food for the price, and it was really good, and it was like handmade, so wasn't this processed snacky food, but also wasn't like a little out of my price range as far as food that I could get for like the value of the price, right? So yeah, train. COVID. So I believe that the train was the safest way to travel during the pandemic. Obviously, a car would be safer. I wouldn't have to wear my mask, but like I said, I just didn't want the other stuff with a car. And, I just, the longer I go without a car, the more I don't want one. It's too much of a responsibility, tag, title, insurance, all that stuff. It's this, like, matrix that I don't even care about, that I'm, like, satisfied living without, and everyone has just bought into the system of we need a car, and we really don't. And it keeps me in shape, because having to walk places, like, women were supposed to walk. People were supposed to walk. We weren't supposed to be sitting 40 hours a week in a cubicle, it would be like 10 hours a week in commute, sitting on our butts in the car, and then we get home, sitting on our butts, watching TV. We're not supposed to live that way. Humans are not supposed to live that way. We're supposed to be moving. So it encourages me to move, and there are a lot of reasons for not owning a car, but that's one. Bit of a tangent, but let's get back. So I think it was pretty safe for COVID. Masks were required. In fact, there were these little idiots who were walking around the train without masks on, and the train attendants would repeatedly say, like, "Sir, please put on your mask." And then right before we got to Albuquerque, she gave us a long lecture over the intercom, and she was like, "People, it's on the news. We're trying to keep this train safe. It's very much real, and you knew what to expect. We've been very open about this, and if you can't keep your mask on, then Albuquerque might be your last stop." So I think she kicked people off after Albuquerque for not wearing masks, and I thank her for that, because it is an enclosed space, and even though they sanitize it, they put ventilation in and all of that, you just never know when you're going to catch it. So I had my mask on the entire time, and I was pretty safe, hand sanitizer and all that stuff. But other people had such disregard for it, and especially what I didn't anticipate is wearing a mask while you're sleeping and how sort of cumbersome that is. So I had my face mask on, but also my eye mask on. So like having all that on your face. I usually don't sleep with an eye mask, but since I was on the train, I wanted to like black out, my eyes. So having all of that on your face is something I'm not used to. I slept on the train okay. I don't really have trouble sleeping in odd places, but I did not factor in having to sleep with a mask. But sometimes I would wake up and, to go to the bathroom or something, and these people would have their masks off, just like, like mouth breathing. And like immediately I was like, oh dear. Like, I did not factor this in. We were pretty much spread out. There was even one passenger who was like, man, that lady, she's such a bitch. She like didn't let us sit together because of COVID. Such bullshit. I heard them over the phone say that. So obviously there were people who didn't take it seriously, who would like keep it on their below their nose and all of that. I'm not like a super freak about COVID. I know like in both directions, it's people have strong feelings about it. On one side, it's you're taking my freedom away because you're basically making me wear a seatbelt, and then on the other side of it, it's wear your mask. Why are you traveling? Stay at home. And they're a little too extreme about it too. So anyway, I think I was pretty safe. At my mom's place, we have been taking our temperature every day. We've been wearing masks here. My mom has respiratory issues, and my dad does too. So, I definitely don't want to give it to them, to pass it on to them. I don't want it either, guys. Even if you survive it, you lose your sense of taste, you lose your sense of smell. I like food, okay? I don't want to lose my sense of taste. They also said there's a loss of cognitive function from it. I don't want that. My brain is like one of my most important features to me. I try to maintain it, to keep it active, to keep it healthy. And I recently learned that it can cause erectile dysfunction, which is crazy because like the day before I found that out, I was thinking about how we don't really know, like they keep saying long-term effects of COVID. Well, it's not long-term because we know the short-term effects of COVID, right? Which is the loss of smell, the loss of taste. But also, I saw 2222 on the clock just now. We know the short-term effects, which is the cognitive malfunctions in your brain, but also the loss of smell and taste, and then erectile dysfunction. But long-term suggests 10, 20 years down the line. We still don't know that, and so why risk that? But the day before the day before I found out about the erectile dysfunction, I was wondering about fertility, right? How does it affect your fertility? I don't know. I mean, it's a virus. It like wants to kill humans. So, of course, it might affect fertility. We don't know, but definitely with erectile dysfunction, that affects fertility in the men's. So even if you survive it, why risk something like that? So I don't want it. I don't want to pass it on to my parents. I've been super careful, but taking the train, I didn't factor in the idiots that would be so cavalier about it. And there's even there's family members and friends that want to see me, and I would, at any other time, I'd want to see them too, but they're so lax in Oklahoma. Hold on, sorry. They're so lax in Oklahoma that I've just seen my loved ones go to parties, no mask, not seem to acknowledge it, and it's annoying. Even some people in California don't acknowledge it, but Oklahoma's way worse. So I didn't factor that in, but I do think I was safe, and I really don't think I'm going to get it. Knock on wood. I just intuitively feel I'm not going to get it. We're still taking precautions, and like I said, we're taking our temp every day. We're wearing masks every day. Something about the mask that is a little inconvenient. And I switched masks, and it didn't the new mask isn't doing this, but I had the same mask on while I took the train and a couple of days while I was here, and it, like, having the elastic on your ear, like, that hurt. That was, like, irritating, but it's, like, the sacrifice you make to stay safe, right? And me and my mom were going to go maskless here in a few days. We just, like, want to pass that threshold, right? But my temp has been, like, 97 point something, whatever, consistently. So that's good. And yeah, taking the precautions. So don't worry. Also in the spiritual community, not even the whole, like, take your freedoms versus, like, stay home, motherfucker. Sorry for that word. Hope I don't get demonetized. But yeah, to the, like, crazy stay homers, that really, like, the crazy stay homers on the other side, so not the people who are like, you're taking away our freedom, but the other crazy people, they're not factoring in that, like, people are lonely. Like, me and my mom, we haven't hugged anyone since March, and you guys may have, you know, a spouse, you may have people to, you know, talk to. I had work from home orders since March. The only people I've been able to talk to are my roommates. They drive me crazy in a lot of ways. They're all right people. It's just whatever. But I didn't get the, I underestimated how much I relied on the affection of coworkers, like, just like a pat on the back, right? Or, like, me hugging them whenever they did a good job or something. And I haven't had that, and it hurts me physically, and yeah, I wouldn't consider myself crazy extroverted, but I realized that I'm more extroverted than I thought during this experience. On the Myers-Briggs test, every time I test, I'm usually, like, split between introvert and extrovert, so I guess I'm an ambivert. But yeah, I am a little more extroverted than I realized, and you know, seeing people is important. So, you know, I did want to see my parents, and I haven't seen my parents in years. And another thing that the, like, crazy stay-homers don't take into account is, like, our financial situation. Like, I had someone sublet my place for December because I didn't know if I could pay rent, and I didn't want to get behind. Unemployment is coming through. It's in the process, but you know, catching up is going to be interesting, and I'm totally lucky that I got to come back home and see my parents and take that month off, because, like, thinking about trying to catch up for 3 months, I was behind on November, and then I'll have to pay for January, but thinking about making up December's rent, it's like, I am very lucky that my landlords are understanding and patient with me, and I'm lucky that I have my parents here. I'm lucky that I had savings, that I had a living wage that I could save, but I'm thinking about people who are worse off than I am, and just what our government is doing. You know, they'll tell you, like, stay home, but then they won't give you a dime, and so it's like, okay, what do you want us to do? What are we supposed to do here? But I'm grateful that unemployment came through too. I'm trying not to complain too much. It's just, I do, like, thinking about people that are worse off than me, like, it makes me worried for them. My heart goes out to them, for people who have to catch up for, like, 3 months rent instead of 2 months rent, right? And who don't have landlords that are understanding, who get evicted and all of that. What else was I going to say? Oh, so not only the take our freedoms away versus the wear a mask, stay at home. people who are like seriously on board with like anything that CDC tells them, without like having a healthy amount of skepticism, kind of makes me pause, right? I feel like there's these two camps that are so extreme, like anything else we have in the U.S. or maybe the world, I don't know, that there's not this like bird's eye view where you step back and see the bigger picture, but there's also the spiritual community is a little mixed on this too, and you know, we are not doctors, and I kind of get worried about some people using their platform to I'm using my platform to talk about COVID right now, but using their platform to sort of like make COVID into a conspiracy theory, like government control, social experiment, and I don't know. I mean, I understand the hesitation with government. They have done like tests and programming and, you know, treated us like little guinea pigs in the past. So I understand the reluctance to immediately trust government. And like I said, there is the camp that's like automatically says with, or automatically goes along with the CDC, without really, just this blind faith, in things that could turn into a lot of oversight. Like tracking, I get tracking is important to trace where people have been, but the government tracking you, we don't have that in the U.S., but I have heard UK spiritualists talk about, you know, they don't want to be tracked, and I get it. I would not want to be tracked either. Even the vaccine is kind of a little, like, I know I should probably take it, but then at the same time, it's like, the government. So I do understand both sides, and I'm on the fence about it. Typical Libra. But both of y'all are out of control. And anyway, that's where I am. But I am being safe about it. I do believe that it's real. I don't think it's a hoax. And I don't want to risk losing my taste. So I'm not one of these who is like, yes, we will build an immunity to it. No, I'm not going to build an immunity to losing my taste. I love Coca-Cola. I don't want to have it taste like gasoline. There was a TikTok video I watched where the girl did this like blind taste, and she could not tell the difference between beef stew, pickle juice, or vodka. I don't want that. I don't want that. Someone could like poison you and you would not know it. Why would you want to be immune to something like that? No, thank you. No, thank you. Sorry I got on a COVID tangent, but yes, my recommendation is, while I loved the train, it is a little cumbersome during the pandemic. Hopefully we get our act together and it doesn't extend into the summertime. One reason being is that I had 3 tickets to 3 different concerts last year, and they all had to cancel. They all had to reschedule. Made me very mad, but I know that at least Alanis Morissette is going to play in June. I have tickets to that. So if y'all make me go until the summertime, I'm going to be mad 2 summers in a row. I wouldn't get to see Alanis. So y'all better straighten up. Get it together so we can get this thing over with. I recently saw over the weekend how Australia is just back to normal because it's like they haven't had a case in like 8 months because the government was more on top of it than our government has been. So we have an extended hell of this. But yes, I would like to get back to not normal, because I am grateful that the pandemic sort of took the veil off the matrix that we have been living in, And I don't think we could go back to normal, whatever that is. I don't want to be in that normal matrix anymore. But I would like to, do shit again. Take train rides without having to hurt my ears wearing a mask for 3 days. So yeah, the train experience is wonderful, and I would recommend it to anyone. But realize that it is the slowest, but it's also probably the safest. So while you're in a road trip, you suffer from accidents. Even traffic is annoying, right? In a plane, you could crash, although I think you're more likely to get in a car crash than a plane crash. But train is very unlikely that you will get into an accident. And one of the reasons, I'll be honest, that I don't really like car culture anymore is whenever I was driving for Lyft, I got into 3 different accidents in 4 months. And they were all the other person's fault. Don't think I'm a bad driver. I did not get into an accident once before then, but when you're on the road that frequently, then it's more likely to occur. And I think it was sort of God's way of saying, this is not the job for you. But I loved doing Lyft, and I voted yes on Prop 22. I loved doing Lyft. I think it's a great side hustle, and it's a great way for people to get agency over their earnings, and I would recommend it to others part-time. It was never meant to be full-time, but I would recommend it to others part-time. I did it full-time, and that was a mistake on my part. I think I burnt myself out on it. That's why, God swooped in and had those people hit me while they were pulling out of parallel parking spots because they're idiots and don't look where they're going. Two times that happened where they pulled out of parallel parking spots and hit me. And then the other time I understood where the girl made a mistake because we were on a highway and there was a sudden exit that people were getting off of, and I slammed on my brakes, and I usually keep a good amount of distance between me and the person in front of me, but I slammed on my brakes and I barely missed that guy's bumper, but the girl behind me couldn't get it in time, and so I'm not irritated with her because it's understandable. She bumped my rear end. But the other people, sometimes Californians are so flaky, dumb. They were probably high. I don't know. Stoned. Yeah. But to just be driving down the street and then someone whacks your passenger door because they can't look. I look 2-3 times when I pull out of parallel parking spots, but they just go out, not even giving a damn. Anyway, going off on a lot of tangents here. Those experiences, that getting in 3 wrecks during a 4-month period, it did kind of shell shock me. People in LA can drive crazy, and I didn't get hurt in any of those, but I thought, I could get hurt in the future. So why don't I just take public transportation and commute the safest way possible? Because on top of the responsibility, on top of the sedentary lifestyle, on top of polluting the earth, I will be safe. It's the safest way to travel. Anywho, one last tangent I want to get to is, how my bangs always look crazy whenever I shower? I have mentioned it on this program before. I am tired of my bangs, and because I used to be able to do this flip thing. So this morning I decided I'm just going to brush it like I used to brush it, where I brush it back and flip it. And look at this. I should have been doing this all along. This is nice. I like this coif. Anything else I can say about the train? I wanted to get more video too, but I got video of some landscape shots. It's beautiful. You know, we went through Arizona, New Mexico. We went through Colorado, but it was dark, so I didn't get to like get good shots of the mountains or anything like that, but it's okay. Oh, also, I know it's been a long video. It's 40 minutes now. But some other things that were interesting is the time zone changes were more gradual and like easier to transition into. One reason being is that the announcers on the train would be like, okay, folks, we are entering a time zone change. And so it was like easy shift into the next time zone. But also, taking a train versus flying. The last time I visited home, I got on the train in shorts and a t-shirt. It was Thanksgiving. I don't know what I was thinking. I got on the train in shorts and a t-shirt, and I got off the train. I said train. I got on the plane in shorts and a t-shirt in LA, and I got off the plane freezing because it was Thanksgiving. I don't know what I was thinking. And I was dying, right? And then we had to go to Walmart, and I'm a like big snob about Walmart. We had to get this like Duck Dynasty trash outfit for me. Horrible, tacky. And so never again. But even in a road trip, it seems like the train, maybe because it's so gradual, going through the mountains, going through the snow, like the weather here isn't as shocking to me as it was the last time I visited by plane. And I love the weather in LA. It's like the number one reason whenever people ask, like, would you ever move back? Would you ever move to Texas if you found the love of your life? Blah, blah, blah. No. No, I would not. The weather has spoiled me. I get seasonal depression, so it is nice to wake up to sunshine every day. Yeah, I do not have to think about if it's going to be hail or rain or ice storms or tornadoes. Like, it's 4 seasons in a day here. I don't have to worry about that in LA. Yeah, so it's really spoiled me. But taking the train was a great transition. And I was really nervous taking this trip because I was like, I am going to freeze. Because in LA, if it dips below 70, I'm like, I am so cold, I am dying. So that was a nice transition. Let me think of some other train